visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
What's up, baby? I'm so glad I got you here. I'm so in love with you, and I don't ever want to lose you. I want to take this to the next level. I hope you're ready. Now that you're here, I got something to say, baby. I think that you should know.
Listen, come through with that Usher in the after hour. I think every artist has a Prince-inspired song. Like, this song reminds me of Scandalous. That kind of, sparse, just kind of keys, and the way the bass comes in. Can he handle it? Is that on Confessions? That was on Confessions, right? Yeah, Confessions was a great album. Listen, it really, really was. Are you going to be dropping that money for that Usher tour that comes after the Super Bowl along with that album? I said I wasn't going to drop money on Beyonce, and I did. So, more likely than not, I have not been to see Usher in Vegas, and that is a shame and a crime. I was actually planning to go last December, didn't end up making it out, and now with all the hoopla, I know those prices are sicker than they were before. Still want to go. I've seen like Usher many, many, many times in concert, but I want to keep that going because he always delivers. What's up?
Random thought.
Yep.
I know Swiss Beats done sold Verses, so I don't think we're ever going to get Verses again.
I know we were supposed to get Diddy and Jermaine Dupri in September, right?
That would have been dope. But since we're probably not going to get a Verses, I think Usher needs to link up with Chris Breezy, and they should do an album together, a joint album.
Well, what was the song that they had that they dropped? Usher and Chris Brown dropped a song.
Oh, did they?
Yes. Why am I forgetting the name?
They must have not dropped a video for it then.
They had a song together.
Is it It's No Flame, huh?
New Flame. That's
Flame.
it. Yep. Yep.
That song was cool.
It's all right. Usher had a better duet with somebody that can't be named. Same girl.
I'll say it. Kels.
But see, this is the thing. Remember just back in June, Usher and Chris Brown had a little tussle behind Tiana Taylor. I don't know if they, really can work together. And I feel like,
I don't think they got that much beef.
I don't think that they have big beef. So New Flame came out, 2014, 2015, something like that. So it's been a minute, almost 10 years. But I feel like their styles are just too different. And sometimes that can be a good thing, but I just don't feel like they would match.
I mean, just because they're different styles doesn't mean they can't have a dope song.
No, they can have an incredibly dope song, but you said album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they might get tired of each other. I think Usher might get tired of Chris.
Look,
I don't think Usher got that kind of patience.
All you need is 12 songs.
Right.
Maybe.
You going to get Chris with 12 songs?
No. Chris. But if I'm not mistaken, Chris Brown talked about it on Club Shay Shay about that and how his next album is going to be a little bit.
Yeah, he said 11 songs is supposed to come out on 11/11 because it's
boom,
how many years?
But no, just 12 songs. 4 out of the 12 could be 2 solo Ushers and 2 solo Chris's. You feel me? So that leaves you with 8 songs left. They could do 8 songs together.
They could, but they won't.
You just have no faith in that album, huh?
Listen, a single, maybe a EP, maybe.
Why not a joint album though?
I don't see them being able to work together creatively in the studio for the amount of tracks that it would take to put together an album.
Okay, what about Drake and Chris Brown?
I think Drake and Chris Brown could make a phenomenal project.
Interesting. Now, why is it with Drake as opposed to Usher though?
Because Drake appears to be somewhere else mentally where he probably could deal with the ebbs and flows that can come with working in the studio with Breezy.
So you're saying that? So you're saying Chris Brown is toxic in the studio?
I think that anybody who puts out 30-track albums consistently has a different mindset about his approach and his music and can't be listened to sometimes.
But he also just said he's gonna decrease that, right?
He is. He's getting older and maturing and learning.
Boom, perfect.
But Chris,
Look,
it took you 3 albums to come to that conclusion.
look. Usher could be like D Wade, right?
Uh-huh.
And Chris Brown could be LeBron. So Usher is gonna teach Chris Brown the way, right? They work together and then watch.
So let me ask you a question, and I know a lot of stuff, but what does Usher have that would make Chris Brown want to listen?
Longevity.
Okay.
Longevity and a level of respect. When they talk about, who's the best in R&B, you know what I'm saying? They put R. Kelly in the, before his scandal and all that, they put him in the category, right? They put him in an island by himself. Usher the same thing too. They put him in an island by himself. And give me one diamond Chris Brown album.
I agree. I mean, what was the Double Mint song? He might have had a chance back then. The one that was in the Double Forever, right? When he was in his Tecmo state. Right before the situation with Rihanna happened, he had a Double Mint commercial. And the song was like Forever that was featured in the commercial.
Chris Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was a little pop. Like he was on his way, and that completely derailed him.
Yeah. Hopefully him working with Usher could buffer a lot of the Rihanna madness and shake that all off.
But here's the thing. That was, 2008, 2009?
I'm with you, and he's still getting flack for it.
He will never be able to dodge that.
Never is a strong word.
Never is a strong word, but I think that it will continue to be brought up and he will be continue to ask questions about it for as long as he is in the public spotlight. Because one, it was so transformative as far as pop culture at the time. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't think that. Think about this. We never saw pictures of what happened with Rick James and the woman that he and his ex-wife supposedly kidnapped, tortured, and locked up. Shouldn't say supposedly. I believe they were convicted. They maintained a different story. But we didn't see pictures. We don't even really know too much about that. How long have we heard about that? Al Green and the Grits. We still hear about that. You know what I mean? So I just think that and really, if you think about it, for the most part, CB has been pretty calm the past couple of years. He hasn't been out there like in previous times. But people are still like, when he put that single out with Chloe Bailey, he just on the single. He put the single out with Sierra. I don't remember the song. I didn't pay too much attention to it, if I'm being honest. But the visuals looked nice. People didn't even give it a chance. So, he's had people like Kelly Rowland vouch for him.
You're right.
They're not going to let it go.
It makes me wonder, what can he do to redeem himself?
He can't.
At all.
It's just, there is going to be a certain segment, a large vocal segment, for whatever reason, that is not going to let that go. Ever.
Rihanna let it go, right?
Rihanna, listen, she did. Karrueche let whatever happened go as well.
That's sad.
But there are other people, whether it's a trigger for them.
And that's probably what it is, the trigger. And that's unfortunate, because the people that he abused forgave him. And
I'll say this, and then we will go to break. And when we come forward, we'll get back into some other things. But I think not only is it a trigger for some people, but I also think that it is unfair to Rihanna and Karrueche in a way to perpetually cast them as forever victims and to keep them and reminding them and discussing that for them. They are not asking for that.
Right.
They are not advocating for that, and they are not taking that stance. So I feel like it is unfair to put that type of energy back on them because they would like to move past it as well. But people don't see them as individuals. They see them as symbols of whatever they are personally going through and reflecting that back out. So they feel like if they give Chris Brown a pass, or not even a pass, like you don't have to be a consumer of his stuff. His stuff comes on the radio. You can change the station, but they feel like compelled to make a statement and get involved. And usually it has something to do with something in their own life. And he is a tether for something that, you know, is troubling them. At least that's my opinion on a lot of these things. That's what it seems like.
Kobe redeemed
In
himself.
overcorrection. What'd you say?
I said Kobe redeemed himself. How was that?
But did he?
Nobody really talked about the Colorado situation.
When we come forward, I will say why.
Until he died.
Until he died, they did. I think that he did to a degree, but I also think that there's a lot of things that allowed the space for that to happen, and it was not easy. And there's something that Kobe had that CB did not have and still doesn't have that would probably have helped the perception. We'll get into that on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency. All over Febreze car clips right on your vid. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face. When it smells just right, just right, just right. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Hey, son. How are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or whether anyone cares about them.
But the reality is, 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis and giving them the support and tools they need to succeed in life. To learn more, go to covenanthouse.org today. Thank you for caring.
Hello?
Man, where are you? I thought you were coming.
I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf. Man, I'll call you back.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Only 1 in 5 people with autism are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work.
Maybe it's because employers don't know what kind of jobs they can do. Like, what about a programmer?
That's a job for someone with autism.
How about a healthcare worker?
Yep, that is too. People with autism can do a lot of different jobs, but often get overlooked due to outdated stigmas. Introducing WIN by Autism Speaks. We help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring.
What about a ranch hand?
To learn more, go to autismspeaks.org/win.
Hey, keep keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we are discussing image. I don't even know how we got on CB and Usher and the things that happened, but we're going to continue because it's an interesting point. I know it was a lead way for Usher, but why did I say that? We talked about them maybe doing a double album. I don't know what the lead-in was, but we got into...
Well, we talked about Usher and Chris Brown doing the album, and you were saying that it might be problematic for Usher to work with Chris Brown in the studio, and then
They kind of took off from there. Okay, that makes sense. So, Fahima says, I would recommend Byron Hurt's Hip Hop Beyond Beats and Rhymes and How Hip Hop Saved the World, narrated by Chuck D. I show them both in my classes and are great primers for discussion. Pretty Brown Mimi says, as a domestic violence survivor, it's triggering for me. We were talking about how sometimes Chris Brown and his presence for some may be a trigger because I said I don't believe that no matter what he does in his career, he will never be able to get out of the shadow of that mistake, and I know people may bristle at me calling it a mistake, a one-off. I am taking my position from Rihanna's position. And since it was her that was actually impacted and her that went through this, I'm going to defer to her and follow her lead. And she is off with her 2 boys and ASAP not giving a dang and, got back with Chris. And I know there's the whole thing about, abusers return to their survivor. I'm not discounting any of that. But I also think that sometimes we don't allow ourselves the room to say, not everyone's experience and reaction will be the same way. And not everyone will handle it in the same way. And you just have to, at a certain point, respect their choice. You can't be outraged for them about something that they have made peace with. Now, we brought up Kobe and the thought of, well, how was Kobe able to move around it? One, I feel that sports is kind of different from music, pop culture, in that sports doesn't necessarily permeate out as far as pop does with women. It does, but it doesn't. Of course, that's growing, but, women don't care as much generally.
Watch out now.
I said generally. I'm obviously a sports fan, whatever, big sports fan. And obviously, not even low key, the female viewership of the NFL has gone up like almost 3 or 4 times based off of Taylor Swift just attending these last 2 games.
Thought y'all was supporting Kaepernick. I'm joking.
Listen, people forgot about Cap a long time ago, so it seems, he's on the cover of, I think, Men's Fitness magazine right now. But I think Cap should have made the decision to head into another direction a while ago and bolstered that. He's so impactful. He always will be, but, those are just my thoughts really quick on that.
So hate to bring sports back up or whatnot, but what's my man's name from Ray Lewis? A lot of people ain't forgot about that, though.
Well, but here's the difference. Here's a couple of things. One, Ray Lewis had the benefit of it being before social media, right? Before even really like the internet and message boards, because that was pre-MySpace, pre-Facebook. What was that, 2001 when that happened?
I would say 99, 2000.
Something like that.
Before they won that chip.
Right. Quite some time ago. So that's one. 2, the attitudes towards women and violence and certain things, I think they were riding the beat because that is also a time we're coming off a gangster rap, right?
Yes.
And so they're not treating us fairly based on our background. They need to respect where we come from and that we do things differently and there are things, but we're still these people, right? So it's this balancing act that we at times or at that time expected from these corporate owners and white men, that they would, 1, understand and respect the culture and allow us to do us, but 2, still be protective of societal things or whatever. And I think a lot of times with domestic violence, especially when you think of the older days, that was considered personal business between that couple, because unfortunately a lot of times the woman would go back. Because how do you protect someone that walks back into it, whether by force or by, I don't really have any other options, or I love my man, and this is what we do, we fight. I mean, I've had conversations about the difference between, and I'm not separating it, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but there, to me, is a difference between a woman and a man beating her up and a woman who attacks or fights her. And that's kind of something that they get off on in their relationship. Huh?
Nobody wants to hear that.
Right. And I don't like, here's the thing. I don't like, in your youth, you may have had some friends or some couples like that were very volatile and toxic, very Blueface and Krishan Rock-ish, and you got to move away from that because that can get you caught up. But what do you say in situations like that when you see at times maybe a woman needling a man unnecessarily? I don't know. That's why I try and move away from people that have relationships like that, because I don't want to be caught in the middle. I don't want to have to, navigate those type of waters.
And it's interesting that toxicity between Blueface and Krishan Rock is being pushed to the masses. Just saying.
People love drama. They love to feel like they're better than something else, and it's very low. But going back to my point about Kobe, the reason why I said Kobe was a little bit more able to move past it than Chris is because Kobe was married and had a wife and his family by his side. And I know that we say image about these things don't matter, but it is the same reason why men being married move ahead more so in the workplace and things like that, because when a man is married, they look more stable. When their wife is standing behind him with these girls and we're united and it's a beautiful picture, people soften. Chris Brown had nothing but his bachelor lifestyle, tattoos, weed, and the Pyrus. So, I mean, people weren't trying to give him a pass. They weren't trying to feel and open up their compassion to him. He tried. He dropped those tears on the stage at the Michael tribute soon after and whatever. But because he also was very much still a young man doing young man things, people don't find sympathy in that. DJ Black 909 in the chat went way rogue. He was like, Gail deserved those threats from Snoop Dogg. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to say that. But she might have been able to approach the situation, because I understand it's news. Your job is to bring forth the news. Your job is to discuss the current events, all of the things surrounding it. I had no expectation that it would not be brought up in these moments. But I do think that there's a way that it could have been discussed or mentioned, which, respectfully doesn't dishonor the victim or whatever you want to say, but still does not, he died tragically and had done a lot of great things for the city. I think that one of the things that social media has done for us is it made us forget that we don't come out fully formed in all of our growth and, moral standing. Sometimes we're going to make mistakes. Sometimes we're going to mess up. And you have to allow people room to grow. Otherwise, what are you going to do with them? Where are you moving all these people that you're casting out to the side with? I don't know. It's a complicated thing. Listen, Fahima says Chris Brown simply should have called Olivia Pope for crisis management and rebranding, and he would be beyond it all by now. I feel like Chris Brown probably did call the real Olivia Pope or someone close to it. I think that he was just young, impulsive, had a lot at stake. 2, was a young guy in love. And 3, had some entitlement issues. Like, all of that is going to lead to a hot mess, right? Chris is 35 now? Something like that. So I think that you were seeing signs of him growing and changing. I mentioned a few weeks back, I had a friend that was out with him in Vegas during the Crawford Spence fight that took place. And they said, Chris seemed like a different guy, much more mature, like he was calmer, just chilling. He was with his girl at the time, even though like his friends were there more turned up. He was on some different stuff. So I think you need time for growth. And you think about it, Chris was 16 when he came out, 19 when this incident happened. I don't know. Respectfully, I don't know. I'm not a pick-me. I do think that there were things that he did that were like, Chris, you know better. You like, tighten up, young man, tighten up. But I'm willing to give him grace and agency because he's a young person, and you hope that people will grow and change.
Will there be grace for Jonathan Majors?
100%, because one, his ex-girl, may have exaggerated a little bit. There are some things that are off about the case. She has disappeared or been quietly paid off, and they could not find her for the trial and to testify and things. And then there are things that were off with his story. There are no photos. Right? And we may not ever hear this woman's side of the story. On top of that, he got with fine Megan Good. So, whether a PR move or a real one, we like to see two beautiful black people together moving and acting as if they are floating into each other and making good, wholesome moves. So I think that he has stayed low key enough, right, to allow people to kind of forget. He has a beautiful woman on his arm now, and by the looks of it, they are, courting, dating hard, very sweet things, taking her and her family to Red Lobster. How wholesome is that? Bringing her flowers, it just looks really nice. And again, there's no visual evidence that people compare it to. And if this woman disappears, so will the story. There'll be so many things to replace it.
I got the solution for Chris Brown.
What is it?
Hook up with Nia Long, marry her. You'll be good.
Nia Long! Nia ain't got time for that. Chris too young and not ready for what Nia can bring. How do I know? He is not ready for Miss Nia Long. Nia Long is a 1971 fine specimen. Chris ain't ready for that. He ain't ready for that. At any rate, Pretty Brown Mimi says, I'll show Jonathan Majors grace. He better not hurt Megan Good. We'll see what happens. On the other side, we'll get into this Sexyy Red clip and see what your comments are about that. Sure to cause a little bit of conversation for her. Of course, more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Everything let's stand between us. But what if I tell you too much? What about you?
Infusing us into fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz says nobody trusts Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy has made multiple contradictory promises, and when they all came due, he lost votes of people who maybe don't even ideologically agree with me on everything.
His comments come after the House in a historic vote stripped McCarthy of his speaker's gavel today. Gaetz rallied against McCarthy for failing to rein in government spending and breaking promises he made to conservatives back in January when he was first elected elected speaker. In Georgia, Atlanta City Council is putting pressure on the police department to release recent body cam footage. It's been nearly 2 months since African-American Johnny Holman died in custody after a traffic stop. The council passed a resolution yesterday which urged the APD to release the footage to the public. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com. Make it a safe one out there.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the Accident Guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The Accident Guys have helped over 5,000 injured clients with an impressive winning record.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This season, your coffee orders are getting warmer, and your outfits are getting cozier. The world keeps changing, and so does COVID-19. That's why this season's COVID-19 shots have been updated. They're one of the best ways to help protect yourself against COVID-19. You can get a COVID-19 shot at the same visit as a flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Talk to your healthcare provider to learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. And don't forget to get extra cinnamon spice. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
At your table and make sure that your coffee has its sugar and cream. Your eggs are over easy, your toast unlikely. All that's missing is your morning kiss that used to greet me. Now you
shout out to Karen White. I think this dropped in what, like 89? 88 maybe, somewhere in there. 88, okay. I knew it was late 80s. I can tell you, gosh, sometimes I hate sharing my music opinions. I hated this song initially. I knew it was a great song. I knew it was great writing. I knew it was why. But I hated that song. Such an unpopular opinion. I don't know many people that felt that way. I just hated. When I tell you, like, hate it with a passion, didn't want to hear it. I don't know. Maybe I don't like the kind. I really don't have a reason. I just didn't like it. But I guess maybe I don't like the whole subservient thing, you know, breakfast on the table. Which the thing that's funny about that is I really don't have a problem with that. And I think it's a cool thing to do, like, for your man. And I like doing that type of stuff. But I don't know. I just never liked that song. Give me romantic or something else, you know, not that. But shout out to Karen White. She was a beast. She had choreography, looks, beautiful, the voice, banging.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's because Jill likes the ratchetness, and it's okay.
No,
yes, you do.
But I like romantic love songs and stuff like that. I just do not care for that one for whatever reason.
There was another song you said you didn't like, and I'm looking at you like, are you for
right?
real?
I know. I can't remember. We talked about it the other day. There's a bunch of songs that were like popular that I'm just like pass.
California Love.
Yeah, California Love. And here's the thing. I did like California Love. I just got burnt out on it. So I don't know if that's the same thing.
Okay.
That's different. There's a song, Lisa Stansfield, Been Around the World, and I Can't Find My Baby. I like it now. Hated it at the time when it came out. I just didn't want to hear it. Just happens.
That's how I felt about Erykah Badu, Tyrone.
See, I mean, sometimes there's songs, it's just like, you get it. You get why it's popular. You get that it's a good song, but I do not want to hear it on repeat sometimes. And Superwoman is one of those songs for me, and I have no reason why. I love a sappy love song.
So do you like, didn't Alicia Keys come up with a song called Superwoman?
She did. Hers was like a little more upbeat. I mean, and then you got Lil Mo and Fabulous.
Mo. So which version do you like better?
What, Alicia Keys or Lil Mo and Fabulous?
And Karen White, the Superwoman song.
I can't think of what Alicia Keys' Superwoman song was, so we got to take that out the equation. But obviously I'm going to pick Lil Mo and Fabulous because I just said I don't like Karen White's Superwoman. I don't know why, though. I just do not care for her. No, I don't like the song. Let me tell you why. It sounds like it's at the end of a movie about black people in the 40s or 50s overcoming post-Jim Crow South or something like that, you know, in celebratory fashion. Some songs just sound like soundtrack music for me, and I just can't get with it. Alicia Keys, like, listen, you give me Fallin', you give me, what's the song that people hate now because she said, like, Ike and Tina. I love that song. You know, way back when.
You Don't Know My Name?
No, I love that song too. It's like Ike and Tina. Look, I gotta Google
the lyrics.
Alicia Keys song. Alicia Keys. There, see, it comes up. Alicia Keys, like Ike and Tina. Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. Yeah, that song was fire too.
And I'm gonna tell you what is probably one of my favorite, hands down, Alicia Keys songs, and it's definitely not New York State of My Empire.
Girlfriend.
Huh?
Girlfriend.
No, that's a good song though. But no, that's not it. Unthinkable.
Unthinkable's fire too.
That like
I'm home. I'm ready.
Yep.
Fire.
That song, and I think, is that about her and Swizz Beatz? I don't know, but that song is one of my favorite Alicia Keys song. I just like it. Knocks, it rocks, just the feeling and emotion in it, you know. And I like her piano playing in that. So, you know, Pretty Brown Mimi says Jill is a tough music critic. I'm not, because I like some stuff that people probably think is ridiculous. It's just certain songs, I don't know, they catch me and I'm like, wrong, no, move. At any rate, let's talk about this Sexyy Red thing. Speaking of music, so we know Sexyy Red is the hot bubbling rapper out right now, and we're seeing her everywhere with her stack of money. I saw somebody say, you know, people are really slipping. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, somebody needs to hit her up and give her a free code for a checking account or banking to spread to her fans to you know, promote financial literacy, since she always got a stack in her hand. She need a bank account. But in a recent interview, Sexyy Red had some commentary about Donald Trump. And it's interesting because Andy and I were just talking about this, don't think that she's alone in her feelings. And, you know, could be a little controversial. Part of me we'll get into that after we play the clip.
Do you think more people are going to support Trump now in the hood
like
or
Trump.
no?
Yeah, they support him in the hood. Because at first, I don't think people was with him like they thought he was racist, saying little and, you know, against women. But once he started getting black people out of jail and giving people their free money, oh, baby, we love Trump. We need him back in office.
Yeah, a little bit of free money goes a long way.
We need him back. Because, baby, them checks. Oh, yes, them stimulus checks. Trump, we miss you.
That's like Whoa Vicky. She's always talking about Trump. You see her ever?
I like Trump. No, I ain't never seen Whoa Vicky.
She's funny.
I love Trump, though. He funny to me. Like, I used to watch his like him talking to people. He used to be calling people fat.
Yeah.
He just bold.
Wow.
He funny. Like, we need people like him.
Well,
So, there's a lot to unpack in that clip. Let's start off with one. The interviewer, he's white, clearly wasn't tapped in when she was like, keep that pressing, keep that moving about the Whoa Vicky thing. I don't address that. I don't know who that is. Don't be trying to throw that in there. You're not picking up on that. But listen, I'm not surprised that Sexyy Red feels that way. You know exactly the type of constituent that she represents with that thought process. You know that people were saying it at the time. All you got to do is offer up a little money and we good. It's our money. Trump even knew that. He was signing. He wanted to make sure the checks said Donald Trump. That's not how that usually goes. Listen, we're coming up on an election year. It's an important election. We know that the Democrats have a lot of issues to work through within their party, and the positioning around, you know, people trying to cast negative light on our Madam VP. We'll have to see what happens there. But some people really, the thing that I think generally across the board that appealed to a lot of people about Trump is what they feel is his I don't give a dang attitude, you know, and he got a smart mouth. He's a little sassy, so he drops the little jokes. And, you know, we love a jokester. Obviously, the bulk of us don't feel that way, but there are pockets, there are people that are subscribing to that feeling. And on top of that, know this, and it's probably been discussed, but it has been said that conservatives, Republican parties, red pill, whoever you want to say, are putting money into black blogs, black media outlets to help spread those messages. So it's something to think about. If you look at the commentary, some of the things that we see on sites, sometimes you might see a little lean to the right that seems to be surprising for the particular content that these sites usually delve in and the way that it is presented. I don't know. Fahima says, Jill, you know good and well Sexyy Red is and be trolling.
She not.
I don't think she's trolling.
She's
I think that she is serious about that. I think that when you think about where she comes from and what she said, the bare basic thing about that and the things that I just said, Trump be coming with bars, dissing people, you know what I mean? There is a reason why the hip hop community loved Donald pre this election run and all of that stuff. Because his attitude is almost like that of a rapper. 100%. Braggadocious, wants all the big things, wants to clown you, wants to be in control and control everything around the way. I'm not saying she's right. I'm just saying that I am not surprised, 1, that she feels that way, 2, that she says it, and 3, I won't be surprised that there are a bunch of people around her, fans, younger, that are mirroring that same type of language.
Look, I have some black male friends because I do hear more from more so from the
Absolutely.
men,
Yep.
more so than women. But I do have some black male friends who really ride with Trump.
They're like, what's the problem with Trump?
You know what I'm saying?
You see it. And the thing is this, I think, well, when we come forward, I'll get more into that and, we'll use it as our wrap up. But I think that there's a reason why you see some men, black men specifically, I'm talking about, gravitating towards the stuff that Trump puts out. We'll get into that on the other side. You're locked into KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. The Center for the Pacific Asian Family was founded to help address domestic violence and sexual assault in the Asian and the Pacific Islander communities. The Center for the Pacific Asian Family's mission is to build healthy and safe communities by addressing the root causes and consequences of family violence and violence against women. They are committed to meeting the specific cultural and language needs of the Asian and Pacific Islander women and their families. CPAF's vision is of an Asian and Pacific Islander community that embraces healthy relationships and works in partnership with other communities to eradicate all forms of violence. To access services, volunteer, or for more info, visit nurturingchange.org. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe everyone deserves to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. We're talking about Sexyy Red's comments that we need more people like Donald Trump. She liked Donald Trump. He's funny. I mean, one of the things she called out in her statement was he just calls people fat. You know, we as a people, we like to have a good time. We like to laugh. We sometimes get our enjoyment at the expense of others. It's a rite of passage. Almost. It is ingrained into our culture to a certain degree, right? Playing the dozens, those type of things. So when you are superior at that, we give you a little bit of props, a little bit of credit, right? Trump also, you know, was making his statements about illegal immigration and building a wall for jobs, America first. That sentiment is something that people have been talking about for the last 20 or 30 years. So as the political positions shift, as our worldviews shift, as the political powers shift in place, you know, people are like, but what about home? What about jobs here? So I think that in a lot of areas, you brought up Cube, Andy. I think Cube is a perfect example of the type of black man who is more likely to ride with Trump. They have certain beliefs. They have certain beliefs about the financial structure. And what is Cube's main complaint, right now? They won't let me in. They aren't providing the funding. So I'm going to go get it from these other days, right? And so I think that it is in line with kind of what Donald Trump is doing. We find a commonality and we roll with that. Now, I don't see how legally he can run again and how that's all going to work out. But that is above my pay grade. And right now, that is not something that I am concerned with. I'm just concerned with the other side of what I'm going to handle. But to Andy's point and to what we're seeing, do not be surprised if over the next year you see an influx of more black people talking about Trump or these Republican-esque values and what they represent and what they mean and what we need to do in order for us to move ahead. Andy?
I think we're kind of already there, low key.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
We played a clip a couple weeks ago with Styles P, if I'm not mistaken, kind of saying the same thing. And a lot of it has to deal with the fact that, you know, there's certain people that do view Trump as the enemy, but they respect him being the enemy because they know where he stands. And, you know, a lot of the criticism, at least with the Democratic Party, is that, you know, they say one thing, but then they do other things. You know what I mean? So from that perspective, I can understand that. It's like relationships or, you know, friendships or whatnot. Like, I would respect somebody who lets me know that they hate me, as opposed to somebody who smiles in my face and talks
does the
negative.
passive-aggressive stuff and plays both sides, kind of. I mean, I think that is the thing with Trump. There's a lot of double talk, but there's not much double talk. You know what he thinks and feels on some pretty core issues. Right now, he may run you all the way around about how we got here or some of these things, but there is no mistaking that you think that he is on this side or leaning towards this. You're pretty clear. I'm firmly over here. He knows the language to throw out, etc. And I think in a lot of ways, that is what we used to call standing on your word. It's a version of 10 toes down. And standing on your square. And I think that some people respect it and vibe with it and secretly may agree with some of his thoughts. So, listen, again, don't be surprised when you see some of those things out there.
It's a lot of closeted Trump supporters, but you know they're not out there because you know they're afraid of the ridicule.
Yeah, because they're gonna hear it. There's no way they're not. They're gonna let you know, right? So,
and for the record, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just
You just understand. You've talked to them. Yeah. You see all angles, you know? I mean, listen, I listen. An important thing to communication that people sometimes forget is the listening aspect of communication. So I may not agree with a lot of this stuff or, you know, ride with it, but I want to know why you feel that way, because that is the only way, really, to me, you can understand how to combat those type of things or have a response. If you don't know why they are making the choice to sit in alliance with him or to agree with these principles, how can you present a counter argument? I mean, so listen, I took debate. I was in the debate when I was like in 7th grade. So you always learn point, counterpoint, and you learn to debate both sides of an issue because that helps you have a more effective argument. So I'm always going to listen to what someone has to say because, one, how are you going to empathize or know where they're at if you don't know where they're coming from? That's the first thing. 2, you can't say that you have a solution or you understand what they're going through, the situation that they're presenting, if you're not listening to it, if you're not taking in what they're saying. You know, you have to be respectful on that level. And again, I'm not saying I agree with the Trump stuff. I'm just saying I see people agreeing with some of the things, and these are the reasons why. And therefore, when you understand the reasons why, you understand what's happening. And maybe, in theory, that is how you can move around it. You know, we'll have to see. Really quick, we have time for one last quick story. Soulja Boy. His ex-girlfriend is being allowed to seize property from his home to satisfy the $472,000 he owes her for pistol whipping her and holding her hostage for hours in 2019. So, alleging that he is broke. He has no money. But he has property and he has things in there. So the judge is allowing for her to go in and collect what she can. The only thing that she cannot touch, she has to leave all cash in excess of $1,000. So she could take $1,000 cash if she finds it, but that's it. So listen, don't put your hands on people and you won't have to worry about trying to hide your money or pretend that you don't have assets or put assets in your mom's name. Just be a good person, right? At any rate, we will check in with you tomorrow, VIPs. Thank you, as always, for rocking with us. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We're going to have a conversation. I can tell you already one of the topics that we are going to be talking about is privilege. Pretty girl privilege, light skin privilege, monetary privilege. We're going to get into all of that tomorrow. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. We have Trent the artist, Trent Jackson, our Keep It Real friend, coming in, and more. So thank you for rocking with us. I hope you have an amazing night. On the other side, the best of KBLA. You are listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.